Here's a review of the 2014 Dodge / Fiat Dart GT. This is the top level trim of the car. Does it hold up to its namesake? Is it a GT inspired car or is it kind of a flop? I'll see you on the other side. Here's a review of the 2014 Dodge Dart GT, also known as the Fiat Viaggio and other places of the world. This car's in this GT trim is pretty nice. I'm not gonna lie. I've always liked the styling of the Dodge Darts. You know, some people probably hate it because it's a little different, but you know, I like it quite a bit. So enough of my opinion, let's just get into the styling of the car. I love the headlights. I love the front grille. I also love the sporty nature of the fog lights. If fog lights can be sporty, this car does imbue that. We have a nice honeycomb at the bottom and then a decently little aggressive hood there in the front. These 19-inch wheels look awesome. It's like a polished gunmetal gray. I'll get closer, guys, so you can see it. These are 225 tires, 40 thickness, and then the rim size is 18 inches. Unfortunately, though, even though the brakes look pretty good, they feel like garbage. So, you know, they look decent. And I'm sure they stop the car decently, they just feel terrible, as you guys will find out later. But back to the exterior styling, I've always loved these rear taillights. It looks like a baby Challenger or a baby Charger. Maybe a Charger, more Charger-like, or even Dodge Durango. But we have the nice proud Dart badge there as well as the GT. We have an awesome dual exhaust there. And overall, especially in this white color, guys, I think this Dodge Dart and these wheels look awesome. Overall, this car's styling is superb in my opinion. Here's the multi-air 2.4 liter inline 4. Now this is the top engine they put in this car. I know they have a smaller one that's a turbo. This one produces probably about 25 more horsepower than that engine does. We have 184 horsepower in it. Not bad for a 2.4 liter. And I like this engine quite a bit, as you guys will find out here as I get into my driving impressions. The layout here is actually pretty good. I like how, hey, don't touch the exhaust manifold cover there because that would be extraordinarily hot. And then, you know, while it's buzzing around and you can feel this engine vibrating. I hope you guys can see that on the screen. But the presentation of the engine compartment is actually fairly well done. We have a prop stand instead of shocks, which is expected for a vehicle of this price point. But this engine does a very good job, mated with this 6-speed transmission. I think Dodge and Fiat did a really good job with it overall. Let's get into the 2014 Dodge Dart GT. All right, so everyone knows the Dodge Dart. It's not the most luxurious car in the world, so I'm gonna have that mindset getting in here. We're gonna turn the fans down just a smidgen so you guys can hear me. Now this is the top trim, this is the GT, this is the creme de la creme for the Dodge Dart, and I'm pretty impressed so far. We have soft touch materials on the side here, this leather-like material, more leather here, and then this cool little two-tone handle as well that goes all the way down onto the side, the armrest. We have some storage here. Now this particular car, so you can see here on the Alpine speaker, this car has over 500 watts of stereo power. That's pretty cool. Your light switches are here. I hope I just didn't turn on the fog lights. And then of course your dash dimmer is going to be here as well. So this dash is one of the coolest dashes I've ever seen, or should I say instrument clusters. So this is how you control it here, right? Well, we have this MPG that I reset. We have tire pressure, which is awesome for, you know, a budget-minded car. You can switch your kilometers per hour. Speedometer, that's the basic one. Now this is crazy. I'm not gonna mess with it, but you can fidget with the entire digital display here. Excuse me. Now, the fuel gauge on the far right and the tachometer on the far left are set in stone, but it looks like you guys can customize your speedometer, which is really cool. I've never seen that in a vehicle of this budget before. So I'm going to keep going. You have your trips. I leave it on fuel economy, or at least I would. personally. Now I've been idling here, and then guys, this is how good this gas mileage is. I've been idling here at 0 miles per hour, and it says I'm getting 13 miles per gallon, and I reset it once I started the car. So pretty amazing fuel economy. Now realistically, it's probably gonna get around 30 miles per gallon. We have a fairly low resolution touchscreen here, but I don't mind it. It's very intuitive, it's easy to work. And this is what I learned about Dodge vehicles. If you wanted your heated seats, it's in the screen. So steering wheel there, climate control. Now you can do it by touch screen, but the nice thing is that all the climate controls down here as well. Looking around here, let's see if I need to point out anything. These seats are actually pretty comfortable. These are the, you know, top of the line racing inspired seats with some nice red stitching on there. We have some really nice cup holders here. And looking at the shifter, it's kind of uninspiring. You know, I'm sure the 6-speed manual would be, you know, if you know how to drive one, would be the car to get. We have a fascinating little pocket here, and that's on the other side as well. A 12-volt hookup, storage area here, e-brake, I forgot to mention that. Open this up, there's your CD charger, or CD changer I should say, and a very small storage, and of course you have another 12-volt and a USB and auxiliary hookup in the back. But that sums it up kind of for the front. We do have a fairly stylized leather-like material up here that goes around the dash, and I think they did a good job. Here's the sunroof, which is very large for this size of car. I think they did a great job with the sunroof, and of course you have 3 separate functions there to open up your garage door. Here is a large sunglass holder, and then here is, does it have a light? Does it have a light? It has 2 lights. Guys, again, if you haven't seen my other video recently, I cut all my hair off because my clippers, I just need to get nicer clippers. So if you guys, you know, send some money towards my hair clippers fund. Now, paper clip, I've never seen this before. You can just hold a paper clip in there? That's the most bizarre thing I've ever seen on a sun visor before, but let's get into the back. I forgot to mention this steering wheel is actually very well done. It's leather all the way around. The stitching is, it's not bad. It's definitely not bad for the quality and budget of this car, but let's go ahead and hop in back now. There's actually more space back here than I was expecting, and these seats have never really been sat in. They look brand new. The style of the door, unfortunately, they didn't bring the red from that front handle to the back here and somehow incorporate it into the back doors. But they did incorporate the red stitching here, not here in the middle, but they did on the very, very edge as well. These seats are extraordinarily comfortable, and I wasn't really expecting as much legroom as I have, so I'm fairly impressed overall with the back seat. Now there is no connectivity. We do have a storage. If I fold down this, we have 2 cup holders, decent size, and then a nice little storage area inside of the armrest. Inside the trunk here, we are going to have some folding down seats in the back, which is always nice in a small budget car, and it looks like it has a pass-through as well. A big speaker here, that's the Alpine radio system that I was talking about, and it's a pretty big trunk. For the size of this vehicle, I am impressed because looking on the outside, the trunk looks super small, but it's actually pretty decent. Okay, so we're going to get into the little driving impression of this tiny little Dodge Dart. The backup camera is very low resolution, but since the screen is close to you, it's fairly easy to see, and I don't mind it quite that much. This car also has a manual mode, which you can increase or decrease the gears manually just with the shifter here. And let's get into it just a little bit. This car's been warming up, the engine's warm. It has a decent sound to it, and I really like that tachometer. The only other Dodge I've driven lately would be the SRT Jeep with like 470 horsepower. Now, I'm not going to compare this car to that. There are some similarities, right? Just because it's a Jeep as well. Okay, that lady was doing a U-turn in the middle of, literally in the middle of nowhere, and you heard the horn go off. Everyone's okay though. So this has a real tachometer, and it's very, very responsive. Whereas the tachometer in the Jeep SRT, I did not like it. The screen didn't refresh fast enough, and it just kind of ghosted around, which is disappointing when you have that much horsepower and the car is that much sport oriented. Let's get into, you know, braking right here. I'm going to get into the brakes, tell you what it feels like. I don't like them. Here's why I don't like them. There's a dead point from about, you know, the first 25% of the pedal, and then you keep pressing harder and the brakes don't clamp it down anymore. So it's like nothing. Okay, you start feeling some brakes and you press harder and nothing is happening. I'm going to have to get them to a little bit harder here in a bit, but so far I do not like them at all. Here we go. We're going to get into the acceleration. It shifts out at first very, very quickly. Now there's a cool little Buick convertible in front of me, and it looks fairly fast. Wow, that shift is quick. And it likes to hold on to that gear as I'm revving it out. Traffic right now seems to be fairly thick, but the downshift was quick, and the upshift, man, you guys probably heard that upshift. Now this does have a blind spot monitor in the form of a triangle in the corner of the mirror. It's a nice little feature. Gosh, traffic is pretty bad right now. I don't know why. What time is it? 2:30? I don't get it. It shouldn't be rush hour or anything like that. It's the end of lunch hour too, so that's kind of surprising. We're just gonna turn the air up, guys. It gets hot in this car. It's a white car, it's a black interior. That black interior does bring in the sun a little bit more. Now that I'm up to speed, I'm gonna give you my impressions on the road feel. This steering wheel feels great. I love the leather feel, but it's very, very stiff. And I like that this stiff steering wheel in a car that is supposed to be sporty. The engine noise doing 60 miles per hour is definitely acceptable. It's not the world's most quietest car, but it's something I could live with if I were to commute with this car, no problem. It soaks up the bumps fairly well, but you do feel quite a bit of vibration through the floor and through the seats. And what I didn't mention earlier, speaking of vibration, when I first turned this car on, it idles a little bit higher just to get the engine up to temperature, right? That's normal. But the car was shaking pretty aggressively when it was in the warm-up phase. After 5 minutes or so, once the engine was fully warmed up, I really didn't notice the vibration. So, you know, most of you aren't going to be sitting while the engine's not warmed up. You're going to be sitting in traffic while the engine's already warmed up, or you're going to be driving the car as the engine's warming up. So that's not really an issue. Just know that it is a little bit vibey, especially if the engine's cold. Okay, we're going to do a quick little acceleration test. I'm doing about 60 miles per hour. We're going to press her down. This thing likes to rev, and that shift is quick, and that's 80. And that's plenty fast. Now, I was going downhill, so those results, don't take them as, you know, gospel, but this car, I like the transmission in it quite a bit. Shifts are very quick, very, very precise. You know, I've been in a lot of automatics where it does a lot of soul searching. And compared to, let's say, gosh, some of the Subaru CVTs or even the Honda CVTs, this car has a really good transmission compared to most CVTs you find in modern cars. So I have the miles per gallon meter up right now. I'm going about 60 miles per hour uphill, and I'm getting about mid-20s miles per gallon. Once I level out, it should go up considerably. So I'm excited to give you guys, you know, a live, you know, accurate reading of the miles per gallon. So maintaining 60 here, it says it's getting about 50 miles per gallon, which combined after hills and stuff, it's probably going to be around 30 to 35 on the highway, which is pretty good in a small car. That's kind of what you expect. And just know that even though you're getting the largest displacement engine they put in the Dodge Dart, you're not sacrificing your fuel economy by any means. Visibility is okay in this car. I don't have any issues with it. The one issue I do have is that the mirror, the rear view mirror here, is rather large and the dash comes up fairly high. So you don't have a whole lot of space outside of the space straight in front of you to see. So that's the only area I would dock on the visibility. Outside the side windows, it's actually pretty good. We're going to get into our braking test here. I'm accelerating on the down ramp to give you another you know, impression of this brake pedal, which I didn't like the first time. Let's get into it. Oh jeez. Yeah, I would give this brake pedal and brake feel about a C if I'm grading, you know, D to, or fail to A. But let's get into the throttle up this hill. Okay. Now, I wonder if you guys heard that. Now, this car, I love the transmission. I love how peppy this little 4-cylinder is. But I heard like fluid moving through the steering column or behind the steering column by my feet. I heard like, you know, the sound of fluid moving around, which is kind of weird. I don't know if that was supposed to be there. Let me know if you guys know what that sound might be. But here we go. We're gonna put it through its paces here in the turn. Yeah, I'm not pushing this car to its limit, and this reminds me of the Veloster in that regard. This car handles, I don't know if it's quite as good as that Veloster. It feels like this has a little bit more body roll. That Veloster, man, there's something about it that there's hardly any body roll in it. And the stance, I feel like the wheels are really wide in that Veloster, so you don't get a whole lot of, like I said, body roll, and the car just feels super planted. This one, a little bit more body roll. The car might be taller as well, and it kind of leans into the turns, but it's actually pretty good, all things considering. I wouldn't say it's as good as the transmission or this peppy little 4-cylinder, but we've made it to the lake, guys. Let's go ahead and finish up the review. Overall, guys, I really liked this car. Handling wasn't the best. The brakes were definitely a disappointment, but I love the transmission, this peppy little 4-cylinder with 184 horsepower. I love the styling of this car. If it's a fairly reliable vehicle, pick one up, especially if you can find one in a 6-speed manual and you can drive it the way it's intended to be driven. If this had a 6-speed in it, guys, I'm sure I would be drooling all over this car, but this automatic transmission does a really good job. And I give this car, you know, 2 thumbs up for what it is. It's a good amount of technology in the car, as well as sportiness, and it's at a good price point. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments below, and hopefully I have more Dodge product coming on the way for some of you Mopar fans or Fiat fans.